welcome back to the channel. This is episode 2 in the Lone Wolf series of Choose Your Own Adventure novels entitled Fire on the Water. Now, while this is primarily a gaming channel, I don't want to just do video games specifically, but anything kind of gaming related. So we're going to do this adventure series novels because I'm kind of enjoying it so far, and rather than just reading through it myself, I figured I'd share the adventure with you guys. Excuse me. So we're going to continue on with the series. If you want to see what happened before, you're going to need to go back to the first video in the playlist and watch the Flight from the Dark video, where we did our prelude and character creation and then went through the actual initial adventure. But for now, we are going to continue on with the story from where we left off. I will go ahead and read part of this brief summary that kind of gives you an overview of what happened last time in case you don't want to go back and watch the whole. You are Lone Wolf, a young Kai initiate who was learning the secret skills of the Kai Lords. 2 days ago, your peaceful country was plunged into war when a vast Darklord army suddenly invaded Summerland and completely destroyed the Kai Monastery. All the Kai Lords were in attendance for the Feast of Feymarn, and all were killed as the monastery was surrounded and destroyed, the walls collapsing in on the assembled company. You, the only Kai Lord to survive the massacre, vowed then to avenge their deaths. You knew your first task had been to warn the king, for without the Kai Lords to lead her armies, your country, Summerland, would be unable to mobilize in time to drive the Dark Lords back. Your journey to the capital was perilous indeed. The enemy had overrun much of the country and were marching upon Holmgard, the capital itself. But despite the many dangers, you fought your way through to the capital and delivered your warning to the king's court. There you were greatly praised for your skill and bravery, but told your mission was not complete. With the Kai Lords dead, there remained only one power in all of Magnamund that could save your people from the Dark Lords, the Summerswerd. After the defeat of Vashna, the Summerswerd had been bestowed upon the allies of Doranor as a mark of trust and allegiance that exists between the two kingdoms. In return, King Allen of Doranor gave Summerland a magnificent golden ring bearing the royal arms of Doranor. This ring is known as the Seal of Hammerdal. At the time, King Allen vowed that if the Shadow of the West should ever rise again to threaten Summerland, Doranor would come to the aid of her ally. The king has given you the Seal of Hammerdal. Your quest is to travel to Doranor and fetch the Summersword back. But meanwhile, the enemy have broken through the outer defenses to the capital and are preparing to besiege the city wall. As Captain Duval of the King's Guard leads you to the royal armory to equip you for your mission, the king's words keep coming back to you. 40 days, Lone Wolf. We have the strength to stand against them for only 40 days. All right, so you can go back to the previous video if you want to see all of the game rules and all of that kind of stuff. But we can say that from the previous book, if we successfully completed book 1, we already have our combat skill and endurance points and the Kai disciplines that we carry over into this book. And any other weapons and special items held at the end of book 1 should be entered into our new action chart. I did actually come up with a slightly different change to the action chart from the previous one, because I wanted to come up with something that, you know, if I wanted to print it out, or if I somehow figured out a way to share it, you guys could print it out on a paper if you wanted to do it that way. I also condensed the charts from the combat table down into this, which will allow me to kind of highlight a column based on the number that I rolled, and then I can find much more easily find the results. The top number for each one is the enemy, and the bottom number is. So, if you're confused about that, go back and watch the other video. You can watch, or you can read the tutorial in the actual book itself if you want to go ahead and download that. Through the experience in book 1, we have learned new skills and may choose one extra Kai discipline to add to our action chart. So when we get to the Kai discipline section, we're going to go ahead and pick another Kai discipline to add to here. I think we will be able to go ahead and go through the equipment part again. All right, so here's a Kai disciplines. Let's go ahead and pick which one we want. So we already have hunting, we have healing, we have the mind shield and mind blast, we have mind over matter. So I think the one that we want to add for this one is going to be the Sixth Sense, because I feel like that came up a lot in our last adventure, and I hope that that's going to be a recurring theme as we continue. So, I'm just going to put dialogue option as the... Oops, helps if I could spell. Dialogue option. Still cannot spell. All right, so that's it for that. So we got our one item. I'm not bothering with, no. Should we do a weapon skill? Because I mean, there's always a potential that we might give us. We do have a relatively weak combat skill. We had the +2 for the Mind Blast, but that doesn't help us with enemies immune to Mind Blast, and it also would be nice to be able to have a slightly higher. You know what? I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna go with weapons skill, and we'll just roll and see, and hopefully we get something. Because right now we have the axe. It'd be really nice if we get the axe as a weapon skill. We had 1. It was spear, and you know what? We picked. There was we had the option for a spear. And we had the option for a spear. We found a spear in the last book. I didn't pick it up because I didn't think it was going to help. I had. Hopefully we'll find another spear in our adventure this time, and then we'll be able to add +2 to our combat. So, oh well. That's not, and I'm not gonna take it back. I took it back on the Sixth Sense thing because there was no consequence to that, but because there was a roll associated with this one, I didn't want to take it. Okay, Guard Captain Duvall leads you to the Royal Armory, where your green tunic and Kai cloak are taken from you to be repaired and cleaned. While you await their return, Captain Duvall hands you a pouch of gold for your journey. Find out how much gold is in the pouch. Okay, so we're just going to add 10 to the number that we roll and add that to our pouch. That's good. So 8, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We have 23 gold now. That's good. And then on the large table in the center of the armory, ooh, we're going to have to roll for it. Oh, you may take any 2 of the following. So maybe is there a spear? Yes, there is a spear. Okay, we're definitely going to take a spear. So we can take 2 of these. So we are going to take... Yeah. We are going to take the spear, clearly. We'll hold on to the axe in case we somehow come across a situation where... Ooh! In case we somehow come across a situation where we need... Sorry, I'm reading through these and I'm getting distracted. We're gonna keep the axe in case we somehow come across a dialogue option that requires the use. Just in case, why not? We only really need 1 weapon, and this weapon is what gives us our +2 to fighting. So we're gonna actually make our modifier +4. Okay. So we have the sword. These are all just standard items. There's a chainmail waistcoat that adds 4 endurance points to our total, which would bring us up to 30. That would be pretty nice. Mace is just a weapon. There's a healing potion, another couple of weapons. There's a shield that adds 2 points to our combat skill when used in combat. I'm really tempted to take that because it's going to add even more to our combat skill, which we're already weak in. I feel like our endurance is relatively high, and adding another 4 points could mean the difference between life and death, but adding more to our combat skill is going to give us a better chance of not losing hit points, not losing as many hit points in the first place. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the shield. +2 to that. So that way we can have a +6. So now we're going to have a 19 combat, which is going to be much better than what we had going in the first time. We died in the last one because of our combat skill. It made the battle very difficult. Okay. If you're already carrying weapons for book 1, you can take this opportunity to exchange 1 or both of them. List the 2 items in your action chart. All right, we don't need to go through all of this carrying your equipment stuff. We already know the rules for combat. We don't need to go over that again. If you need to learn about that stuff, we covered it in the character creation section of the last video. Okay. This is just a recap of what they said the last time right before we started. Just so you know, there is a map for this world that we will be using. And we are starting here, and we need to make our way all the way to Hammerdal over here. So we'll see how long that takes. This may be a 2-video thing, depending on how complicated the route is. We'll see. Okay. So, let's go ahead and get started. Captain Duval and his guards escort you to the Citadel gate where a small covered wagon awaits you. As soon as you clamber in, okay, that was a very weird looking word, huh? Okay, as soon as you clamber in, the gates are thrown open and you are hurried away through the crowded streets of Homeguard. After a short but uncomfortable journey, the wagon stops and the driver pulls open the canvas flap. This is the key, my lord. There is your ship, the Green Scepter. As he speaks, the driver points across the quay to the sleek trade caravel anchored near the harbor wall. The first mate's name is Ronan. You will find him waiting for you across the square at the Good Cheer Inn. Then the driver bids you farewell and quickly disappears into the teeming crowds. You reach the inn to find the front doors locked and the window shutters barred. You are trying to decide what to do when a hand grabs your arm and you are pulled into the darkness. If you wish to draw your weapon and attack your unknown assailant, turn to 2-7. I'm not going to we can either attack this dude or we can try to pull free of his grasp. I don't know that we necessarily to recap, there's no experience points in this game, so we don't level up. We level up by completing the adventure. So we definitely want to avoid combat where possible, unless there's just a specific reason to get into it. There's no point in risking things. So we're going to try to pull free and see what happens. Forgive me, my lord, I did not mean to startle you. The man seems nervous, and the open hand that is extended towards you is shaking quite visibly. With some caution, you accept the gesture of friendship and sit with the man at a tavern table. The place is deserted, save for a couple of mice gnawing at a large chunk of cheese. Little image of Captain Kelman has instructed me to take you to the Green Scepter, but only if I am sure that you are the Kai Lord they call Lone Wolf. Can you prove your identity? You decide you must show your mastery of one of your Kai disciplines. So we can do healing, mind blast, weapons skill. I don't have that one. I do have that one. And if you do not possess any or do not wish to demonstrate your skill, I don't know. He's not feeling all that hot. Let's do healing. Maybe he's hurt. You pick up an ale glass and smash it across the edge of the table. The jagged glass is razor sharp. As you draw it across the back of your left hand, a long cut appears, trickling blood. Covering this wound with your right hand, you concentrate and feel the warmth of your power as the wound heals. When you remove your right hand, no trace of the cut or any scar remains. The sailor stares at you in amazement. You are indeed a Kai Lord, says the sailor, but the astonishment on his face is quickly changes to an unpleasant sneer. Or should I say you were? I guess we're going to fight now. We should have just fought him in the first place then. As he speaks, the door crashes open behind you, and you turn to see 3 harbor thugs advancing toward you. Each is armed with a scimitar, and you have no choice but to fight all 3 as one enemy. So this is telling us we can evade after 2 rounds by running through a side door, or we can just fight to the end and different result. So I guess we're going to have a fight right now, and that's good for you guys because you get to get right into the action. So the way that this works, as we've seen in the past, is we have to figure out what our combat ratio is. So they have no immunities, which means we get our full combat. So we are at 13 plus 6, which is 19. We subtract their skill, and that gives us our combat ratio, which is a 3. Using that, we know that we need to use this row of numbers here. This is going to be the enemy. This is going to be the damage that we take. We roll a D10, and whatever number we roll, that's the result of the combat. So if we rolled a 4, the enemy would take 11 damage, and we would take 1. So that's how this combat's going to go. Every die roll is a round of combat, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and we gotta type in our endurance at the beginning. So I have 26, and they cumulatively have 25. We have a good advantage in this. All right, so round number 1. Let's see how we do. All right, we rolled a 4. That's kind of funny because that's what I picked. So they're going to take 11 damage, and I am going to take 1. So we go down to 25, and they go down to 14. Yeah. Okay. So we tussle a little bit, slash. We probably take like one of them. Say this is 3 harbors. Yeah, we've taken down one of the dudes by this point, having done that much damage. All right, let's go ahead and keep going. We have to do at least 2 rounds of combat. We're probably going to kill these guys. All right, we rolled a 3. They take 8 damage, and we take 1 damage again. Oh, I think I messed that up. Oh, I'm using the wrong chart. They take... Backward. Ooh, that's going to be... Okay. I think I have this backwards, because lower numbers should result in more damage to them. We're gonna fix this real quick, because I didn't realize I had messed that up. 0, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, well, now you know I screwed that up. So in the first round, they actually took 7 and I took 3. So let's go ahead and fix that then. So we're down to 23 and then 25, 24, 23, 22, 18. They had 18. And then we just, for 8 and 2. Sorry, I'm sorry you guys are having to watch me do this, but I didn't realize I screwed that up. So it was 8 and 2. So they go down 1 more and I gained 1. They were at 17. 4. Then we just rolled a 3. Now they take 7 and I take 3. So they're down to 10. That means that second dude's hurting pretty bad. What was it? 7 and 3. So I go down to 21. All right, sorry about that. That's a little breaking the immersion, but sorry. Let's see how we do with the third round here. Might as well keep going. We're doing really good. I rolled a 4 again. Oh. 4 is going to be 8 and 2. There. Oh yeah, that last we killed another dude, and the last dude is pretty beat up. Let's go ahead and finish this. Maybe we'll get some gold out of this. All right, last round. Oh, we rolled a 10. All right, there's no point in calculating it. These dudes are dead. All right, so if we win the combat, we get to turn. The sailor who claimed to be first mate Ronan seems to have escaped during the fight. You quickly search the bodies of the harbor thugs, but find nothing of value. Of course we don't. However, you do notice that each of them has a tattoo of a serpent on their left wrist. Whoever sent them to kill you must already know of the importance of your quest. You leave the tavern by the side door and discover the dead body of a sailor lying beneath some stairs. Inside the collar of his blood-stained jacket is the tag bearing the name Ronan. This must be the real Ronan and has been murdered. You cover the body and turn towards the quay where the green scepter is anchored about 300 yards from the harbor wall. If you wish to use, we can use a small boat, oracles? I don't even know what that is, that are roped on the quayside, or we can hunt down the imposter who pretended to be Ronan. Well, the king warned us that we don't have a lot of time to get these things done. It's enough. I think it's enough to know that we're being messed with, so there's that. So one of our abilities that we have is we have this healing ability, which allows us to gain 1 endurance for each non-combat page that we go through. So because, let's see, we were down to 19. Make sure I remember to record that. We can then erase all of our combat information. So because this page had no combat in it, we can add +1 endurance. So let's go ahead and head to the boat because we need to get on our journey here. As you paddle towards the sleek trade caravel, you notice to your surprise that the boarding ladder is being pulled up. A mean-looking sailor leans over the gunwale and curses at you. He seems to think that you are a refugee trying to stow away on board. But when you shout that you are Lone Wolf and you were ambushed by an impostor at the tavern, the ladder is soon lowered again. As you climb over the side of the ship, you are met by a tall man in a gold-braided uniform. His face is almost totally covered by a shock of bright red hair and a bright red beard. "Haul anchor," he booms. The crew springs into action as if their very lives depended on it. The captain ushers you below to his cabin where he pours 2 glasses of Wanlo, a strong spirit. His face shows concern as you tell him what has happened. There is evil treachery at work, and the enemy already has plans afoot to thwart your quest. He begins when you've told your tale. It seems you have lost the element of surprise, and I have lost a courageous first mate. Let us only hope that the voyage to Duranor be swift and safe. Little picture of us leaving the... You leave him and go up on deck, just in time to see the outline of Holmgard on the horizon. With mixed feelings of pride and apprehension, you descend the stairway to your cabin as the last spire of the capital disappears from view. All right, so we have to pick a random number, which in our case means we're going to roll a d10, and then based on the number, we're going to turn to a page. So may fortune be with us. 3. If the number is 2 to 3, we go here. The following morning, you are woken by the cry of the ship's lookout high in the crow's nest. "Ship ahoy! Ship off the starboard bow!" You climb up on deck and brace yourself against the fresh breeze. On the horizon, you can see the wooded coastline of eastern Summerland, but in the middle distance is a merchant ship that looks badly damaged. It is low in the water and only has one mast remaining intact. It flies the flag of Doranor, but the flag is upside down, a signal of distress. So they want us to pick a random number again. 2. The captain orders his crew to go alongside. As they board the trader, you are shocked by the sight that awaits you. Dead sailors cover the deck, many pierced by arrows. It seems they must have put up a desperate fight to defend their cargo, but not a trace of it remains in any of the ship's holds. Below deck, you discover the captain is in his cabin. He is very badly wounded and near to death. We do have the healing option, so we're going to go ahead and pick that. Placing your hands upon his chest, you try to seal the open wound. He has lost a lot of blood, and although he is sweating heavily, his skin is cold to the touch. Excuse me. His eyes suddenly roll open and he shouts a garbled warning. Pirates! Lacuri pirates! Beware the red sails! Repel boarders! The captain is soon unconscious once more. You wrap him in blankets and place a cushion beneath his head, but he has drifted off into a sleep from which he will not awake. Back on the deck, the bodies of the dead crew have been gathered together. Captain Kelman approaches you and hands you a vicious-looking black scimitar. This is no pirate sword, Lone Wolf. This weapon was forged in the furnaces of Helgadad. It is a Darklord. It is daunting news. If the Darklords have allied the Lacuri pirates to their cause, the voyage to Duranor will be a perilous one. You fling the black sword into the sea and return to the Green Scepter. As you set sail for the east, you watch as the Duranor merchantman slips beneath the waves. Yeah, things aren't going too well so far. After 3 uneventful days at sea, you find shipboard life rather dreary. If you have the Kai discipline of healing, any endurance points you may have lost in your adventures are restored, so that's good. I would have gone back and counted them anyway. This will bring your endurance point scored back to your original one. If you do not restore, you can restore half what you lost in combat. So basically, it just speeds us up. We don't have to go through so many pages to get to it. On the afternoon of the 4th day, you are talking with an injured sailor up on deck when you smell smoke seeping from the hold. Well, it's not our ship. We're going to warn the captain. He's going to be the one who knows how best to take care of this situation, right? As you burst into his cabin, the captain looks up in surprise from his chart table. Fire in the hold, you gasp, breathless from your run. In an instant, the captain runs through the door, ordering the crew to fill buckets with water and gather blankets to smother the fire. By the time you reach the forward hold, the smoke is dense. Suddenly, the ship is thrown into a frenzy as flames erupt from the hatch cover. It takes over an hour to contain the blaze, and the damage is great. The entire store of food and fresh water was in the hold, and the hull has been badly weakened. The captain climbs out of the smoking hold and approaches you, his face black with soot. He is carrying something in a bundle under his arm. We must talk in private, my lord, he says quietly. Without replying, you turn and follow him to the cabin. After taking care to close his door, the captain opens the mysterious bundle and tips the contents onto his cabin table. A large, charred earthenware jug and several blackened rugs drop in a heap. They give off a strange, oily smell. Nice picture of what he's showing us here. This was no accidental fire, he said solemnly. This was an act of sabotage. The forward hold is a food store, yet I find this oil jug and soaked rags upon the floor. Someone on this ship is prepared to risk his life to stop us from reaching Duranor. You both stare at the burnt rags as if they hold the answer to your questions. Suddenly, a cry from up on deck breaks the silence. Ship ahoy! Ship off the port bow! Grabbing his sword and telescope, the captain disappears through the door and up the ladder onto the deck above. So we can either follow him or make a quick search of his cabin. Much as the loot hoarder in me wants to search his cabin, we as a Kai Lord would have more integrity than so we'll go ahead and follow him up. It seems our bird has flown, says the captain, pointing to a longboat moving swiftly toward another ship on the horizon. She flies no flag and her hull is of a strange shape. I've never before seen the like. You watch as the longboat reaches the mysterious ship. As if by magic, a sea fog appears from nowhere and engulfs the vessel. Moments later, both the ship and the fog have disappeared. So we need to roll a random number, and we'll find out what the result is based on that. 5. We're going to turn to 209. The crew start to whisper. You hear the words ghost ship and cursed voyage, but the muttering stops when the captain's voice booms out an order for all hands on deck. Only the creaking of the timbers can be heard as Captain Kelman climbs to the rear deck to address the crew. Men, we're 3 days' sail from Port Bax. The fire has robbed us of our provisions, and our fresh water has been fouled. We shall have to steer a new course for Ragadorn, where we shall make good our repairs and replenish our stores. That is all. The crew seem pleased by the captain's announcement and set about their duties with renewed vigor. The captain turns to you then. We're about 8 hours from Ragadorn, my lord. My orders are to see you safely to Port Bax and pass you into the care of the Sumlingdon consul, Lord Lieutenant Rygar. But time is not our ally, and I fear the repairs may take a week or more to complete. When we drop anchor, you will have to find your own route to Durinor, by sea with us, or alone by the coast road. As you return to your cabin, the king's words haunt your thoughts. 40 days, lone wolf. You only have strength to stand against them for 40 days. You do not have long to complete. As dawn breaks, a fierce storm rises, and you are woken by the violent rocking of the ship. The floor of your cabin is awash, and the shouts of the crew can hardly be heard above the howling wind. You quickly dress, gathering your equipment, and make your way to the deck. You are soon joined by the captain, who takes hold of your arm and orders you to return to your cabin. Suddenly, as you start to go down, there is a thunderous crack as high in the rigging, part of the mast snaps. You look up to see the shattered pole falling towards you. Yet another random number selection. Let's hope it's a good one. Rolled a 9. As the mast smashes to the deck, a splintered beam hits your head and you are knocked overboard. Gasping for air, you fight your way to the surface and catch hold of a hatch cover. You are half stunned and lose 2 endurance points, of course. You pull yourself into this makeshift raft and cling to it with all your strength. If you are wearing a chainmail waistcoat, you must discard it now. We pick that up? Yeah, no, we did not. I'm glad we didn't pick that up. If you're wearing a chainmail waistcoat, you must discard it now, or otherwise you will be drowned for sure. You feel dizzy and sick. As the heaving sea buffets you about relentlessly, you gradually slip into unconsciousness. When you awake many hours later, the storm has passed. By the position of the sun, you judge it to be late afternoon. In the distance, you can see a small fishing boat, and beyond it, on the horizon, land. The only trace of the green scepter is the hatch cover on which you now sit. So we can use our cloak to try to signal the fishing boat, or we can try to paddle towards the shore. I'm a big fan of trying to get help wherever we can, so let's signal the fishing boat. You desperately wave your Kai cloak above your head until you are near exhaustion. I guess this is whether they see us or not. 1, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Okay. You are in luck. Good. You are in luck. The boat has seen your distress signal and is heading towards you. It is a small fishing boat from the port of Ragadorn. The fishermen are a rough-looking bunch, but they wrap you in a warm blanket and offer you some food. The captain suggests that you sleep, as it will be 2 or 3 hours before they arrive back in Ragadorn. If we would take his advice, we can restore 1 endurance point and turn to this. If you prefer to stay awake, you can keep watch for any other survivors of the storm. We gain endurance points every non-combat page anyway, so we'll stay awake and keep watch for survivors. It is nearly dark when the small fishing boat passes through the harbor entrance of Ragadorn. You have still seen no sign of the survivors from the storm, and you fear the worst. You notice that three of the fishermen are acting very suspiciously. They whisper to each other, and their eyes often glance at your money pouch. As the boat sails into the estuary of the River Dorm, they surround you and demand that you hand over all your gold. You are about to fight them when an unexpected blow from behind knocks you to the deck. You see one of the fishermen raise a foot. As it strikes your head, suddenly everything fades in the... This is what we get for relying on people, right? But technically we do get a hit. We do get an endurance. So I imagine we're about to lose all of our stuff. When you awake, you are shocked to find yourself lying beneath a wooden jetty, and the shallow water surrounding you fills your nostrils with a foul stench. As you stand, your head throbs violently if you had been knocked unconscious. This is exactly what has happened to you, and your gold, your backpack, your weapons, and all your special items have been stolen by the fishermen. That just really screwed us. With a groan of despair, you climb out of the slimy water and pull yourself onto a jetty. Looking up, you see a faded sign, "Welcome to Raggadorn." You fear the rumors about this place are true. It is nearly dark. Well, it would have been nice if I had been told about the rumors. Nobody said anything about rumors, or I wouldn't have trusted the fishermen. You fear the rumors. It is nearly dark, and it has started to rain. You must find the seal if you are to persuade the Duranese to give you the Summerswerd. Looking round, you see a large market square with a stone signpost in the center, indicating the various roads that lead off the square. Okay, so for the purposes of this, we are going to go ahead and I'm going to gray the items out that we lost. So, man, we lost everything in our backpack. Lost our backpack, so I'm going to gray everything, or I'll make everything red for now. Make the text for everything red for now. Excuse me. We'll gray everything out for now, because I don't want to forget what we had in case we find it. And what if they tell us, oh, we found our stuff? I don't want to have to try to figure out what we had. So I'm going to go ahead and just gray everything out. All of our special items are gone. And that means that we are now back down to 13 plus 2, but because we have no weapons, we have a -4 to our combat until we get our weapons back, which means now we have a -2, which means our combat is 11. That's gonna suck. We have to try to find our stuff. We're not going to be able to. We have to. At the very least, we have to find that coin the token that we were given, and hopefully, when we find the token, we'll find our stuff. So, do this. There are many ships of all sizes and nationalities moored on this side of the harbor. The River Dorne, which divides the city of Raggadorn, is always busy. You are about to give up your search when you spot the thieves' fishing boat. There is nobody aboard, but a thorough search of the cabin reveals a mace. Well, that's good. Okay. So, you know what? Here's what I will do. I'm going to copy things that we find down here, and now at least we have a weapon. Undo that. We'll undo the fill for that. Okay. So at least now we're back up to the 2 that we had there, and 3 gold crowns. Add 23. 23 gold crowns. This sucks. The hammock bears a label that reads North Star Tavern, Barnacle Street. You take the mason crowns and return to the stone post square. Well, clearly we're going to go to Barnacle Street because we need to get our stuff back from these jackasses. 30 yards 30 yards along on the left side of the street, you hear the sound of merriment drifting from a large ramshackle building. There is a creaking sign above the door, the North Star Tavern. Well, clearly we're going to go in the tavern. The tavern is full of brigands and drunks, the good-for-nothing crews of trading ships moored at the jetty, all singing and drinking while some try their strength at arm wrestling. All are so engrossed that nobody notices you enter. In the far corner, you see the fishermen that robbed you. They are seated at a round table covered with empty ale tankards. You know that if you are to reach Duranor in time, you must retrieve the seal of Hammerdall and your gold. See. We want to get our stuff back. I don't know if confronting the fishermen is going to make a difference, or if we need to talk to the innkeeper and maybe we can get into their room and steal our stuff back. I think that as a Kylord, we would probably fight these dudes, but you know what? We are 34 minutes into this episode, and I have no idea how much longer this is going to go. So, if you would like to find out if we get our stuff back, you're going to have to come back and watch next time. We're going to go ahead and end the episode here. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the story so far, and be sure to come back for the exciting continuation of our adventure in Lone Wolf.